the lowest price on comparable quality diamonds and jewelry. You don't stick around for 32 years unless you've done just that. Like people, diamonds have levels of integrity. Our job at Beret Jewelers is to find you that perfect diamond with strong levels of integrity, diamonds that are properly graded and beautifully cut so many years down the road, it shimmers, shines, and stands out in a crowd. Sometimes the hidden treasure is right in your backyard, and for diamonds and jewelry, it's here at Beret Jewelers, brand new location next to Bonefish Grill on 12th Avenue or in Gulf Breeze. I'm Barry Cole from Beret Jewelers, and I want to be your jeweler.
You can imagine how happy we all were. My wife, our 3 kids, and I have found the perfect apartment to rent.
My school is right down the block?
Yes, it is.
Mommy, can we go to the park anytime we want?
Anytime we want.
So you can imagine trying to answer all their questions after the landlord turned us down.
What happened? Why can't we live there?
Why not, Papa?
What was I going to say? The landlord doesn't want families with kids in his building? We made a call to HUD and found out that being denied because we have kids is illegal. We got answers. We got help.
And we got the apartment.
If you think you've been discriminated against because of your familial status, race, color, religion, national origin, sex, or disability, call the HUD hotline, 1-800-669-9777, or go to hud.gov/fairhousing. File a complaint. Make something happen.
Fair housing is your right. Use it.
A public service message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Our Pensacola Wahoos are back for another season, and with the new season comes some fresh and new changes. Our Wahoos are now the new AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, and they have a new broadcast home here in Pensacola, right here at your hometown station for hometown sports, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos action from home and away with Chris Garagiola. Wahoos baseball presented by Denny's on the new official flagship station for the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945 and ESPNpensacola.com.
There are people who will make excuses, who quit the job when it's too hard. This is a story about people who believe in something different. A story about people who will conquer their dreams in 2019, who will not stop until the road ends. No more excuses this summer. It's Harley-Davidson of Pensacola's Push It, Pull It, and Drag It event. If it's got a VIN, Harley-Davidson of Pensacola will take it. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola, let's ride.
You're in for a hilarious evening.
My New Year's resolution this year was to lose some weight and try to get in better shape.
Don't miss one of the top comedians from the world-famous Blue Collar Comedy Tour, Grammy-nominated funny man, Ron White.
And I was working out yesterday, and I hurt my fat.
For 2 shows only at Beau Rivage, Friday, August 2nd.
I sprained my fat roll.
Visit BeauRivage.com for tickets. Must be 21.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WICT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. And it's a Friday show. We are one Friday closer to the start of college football. Just about, I want to say around 50 days away from that Florida-Miami game there in Orlando to get the season started off on August 24th. So that's going to be a lot of fun there, Coach. And we'll be sure to be talking about that a lot more throughout the summer leading up to that. We've got SEC Media Days coming up in a couple of weeks as July is right around the corner. The 1st of July coming up on Monday. So that'll be right around the corner in a couple of weeks. We'll be talking about that as well. But, Coach, I want to talk some NFL to get today's show started because I want to take a look at this interesting list. Sports Illustrated has this list of NFL teams. We've talked about it before. Inside the NFL, you have a very small window of time to be successful when everything's kind of aligned and working right. Now, the Patriots have kind of found a way to they found the NFL version of the fountain of life with that, and they've been able to keep that window open by great coaching, great quarterback play, and then just bringing in great pieces to fit around them. But, Coach, you take a look at some of these teams here. The window is closing, and if they don't act now, it could be a little while before they have another opportunity. And, Coach, one of the first teams on this list is going to be the Dallas Cowboys, and they've got contract issues with Dak Prescott. Now, we've talked about it before in the past. Maybe Dak Prescott's not their guy in the future. Maybe they see somebody else coming in and being the starting quarterback for that team, and they're just kind of hanging with Dak until that time comes. But, Coach, you also have Ezekiel Elliott. You've got the talent with the Cowboys that they've been there. They've got the talent. But that window is closing, and they've not been able to capitalize on that window so far. So, Coach, the first team we're going to be talking about, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and they fit that mold. They've got a good offensive line. They're not getting any younger. They've got an outstanding back. They've got now a world-class receiver in Moore. Cooper was an Alabama kid.
Amari Cooper, yep.
Amari Cooper. And they've got a guy at quarterback, even though he may not be their final answer, he's got to go with right now. They've got no choice. And he's a good choice. He's not bad. He's a good quarterback, but is he that great quarterback that can put you over the hump, that can put a football team on his back? I don't know if that's the case. Don't think maybe it is. But at any rate, they've got to get him signed because what do you do if you don't have him? Yeah, think of the flip side. You don't. They don't just grow on trees. You don't go pick them off a tree. So Dallas is in that situation where they could lose some people. Attrition could be rather high with the contracts, and you never know what's going to happen from an injury standpoint. So Dallas is in that window right now. They would love to jump through it, no doubt about it.
All right, Coach, how about our next team on this list? You've got a team in the L.A. Chargers. You take a look at them, and Phillip Rivers is not a spring chicken. He's not a young guy anymore. He's not going to be out there much too longer for the Chargers, and that's really why. Because, you look at around them, they've got guys like Melvin Gordon and Melvin Ingram. Those guys are younger. They've still got a few more years left. They've even got Joey Bosa in there as well. Those guys are young. They still got a few more years left. I think the big thing with the window here and why the window's closing so quickly for the Chargers, Coach, is actually because of Phillip Rivers and the fact that this is a guy that like I said, he's winding down his career, and he's been a championship caliber quarterback at times in his career with the Chargers. But, Coach, he still has yet to bring home a championship for that team, whether it's San Diego or now L.A.
Outstanding quarterback, and that's exactly what it is. It's where is Phillip Rivers? Because overall, they're not an older football team. But, in fact, Dallas, the one we just talked about, would be an overall younger football team. No, as young as anybody. And they have a young quarterback. The difference here is Phillip Rivers. And, he's an outstanding quarterback, and they need to, while they have him, if they can possibly do it, they need to get there and win it. Years ago, they went there to the Super Bowl one time, but Phillip Rivers was not their quarterback. I believe it was before or prior to Phillip Rivers. Yes, they're a good example. Jordan, an excellent example of a football team that is right on the verge, and they really need to jump through right now.
All right, Coach, the next team on the list, I think, is a team that A team that should have been in the Super Bowl last year, to be honest with you. It's the New Orleans Saints. And again, Coach, you've got to look at them. And I think the same thing that we saw with the Chargers and Phillip Rivers on his way out, not having many years left inside the NFL for his career. Coach, I think that's kind of the same thing that we're seeing here with New Orleans. Drew Brees is kind of towards the end of his career. You've got a guy like Alvin Kamara, who's still a relatively young guy. Michael Thomas is still a young guy. These guys are going to be playing a lot, not a lot longer, but they'll be playing longer than Drew Brees will. Drew Brees is getting ready. He's 40 right now, getting ready for this season. So, Coach, for the New Orleans Saints, you got to think it's more of a thing of Drew Brees, just like with Phillip Rivers, coming into a close on his career.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and that's exactly what they're looking at. And my goodness, the last 2 years, they could have been there so easily. Just freak plays kept them out of it for 2 years running now. The Minnesota Miracle and then last year with the Rams and the ghost penalty, that happened. So, Drew Brees, I think Drew Brees has probably got maybe another year, maybe two after this. But I think he's the type guy that when he knows that his skills are on the decline, he's going to step out of it. I think he's just that type guy. He's got a wonderful family. He's a family guy. And he's stepping out in good health. He would be stepping out in good health. So I see him doing that at some point in the not-too-distant future. But before he does that, New Orleans needs to get there again. No doubt about it.
Absolutely, Coach. All right, our next team on this list, the Carolina Panthers here. You take a look at them with Cam Newton. Now, he's just turned 30. But, Coach, between the hits and the surgeries he's had, especially the shoulder surgery, which could possibly keep him out for the 2019 season, Coach, you take a look at this team. They're still a relatively young team. Even Greg Olsen, who's seen as the veteran leader of that team, is only 34. Coach, you got guys like Luke Kuechly, who's going to be back there playing linebacker for the Panthers. You've added guys like Gerald McCoy. They've gotten better, and they've added some better components and better players this offseason. But still, Coach, that window's closing with Cam Newton just because of the beating he's taken plus the injuries and the surgeries he's had. And, Coach, obviously with him not playing this year, could really spell a down year for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, that's true, but I think they made an outstanding pickup at the quarterback position. They may end up with a better all-around quarterback than the one they have.
Right.
Now, the one they have, I'm taking into consideration he's injured. He's never been a passer who could put the ball on the money. He's never been an accurate passer. He can sling it and get it out there, and he hopes it goes to the right place. And he's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but what he can do with his legs are phenomenal. But listen, they may end up with a quarterback that can drop straight back and make you pay the price. He's done it. He's very courageous, and he is accurate and puts the ball on the money. So. But I back to your point, I think your point is they would like to feel that they need to get there with Cam Newton still being their quarterback. And I can see that. And that's a good point. I think I'd put them in that category. The people that are right on the cusp are the couple we've already talked about, the New Orleans Saints. And I don't think the Chargers are too far off with Rivers.
No, you are absolutely right on that, Coach. And finally, our last team on this list, the Minnesota Vikings. They're coming in. It was an all-in gamble on Kirk Cousins a year ago. The Minnesota Vikings, Coach, they're a couple of pieces away from being a team that is taking that next step. I think they were expected to be a lot better last year than they ended up being. So I think there's some people that kind of look at the Vikings and aren't quite sure what to make of them for 2019. So, Coach, the 2019 Minnesota Vikings, their window's closing. They had a great opportunity a couple of years ago when they beat the Saints in the postseason. But, Coach, you take a look at what they did last year. Needed a lot of help on the offensive line. Went out and got some help on the offensive line. They did a great job in the draft of filling their needs that they needed. But, Coach, the Minnesota Vikings still one of those teams that the window's closing, but they may not have an opportunity before it closes.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's a very good football team. And I think Cousins is a good quarterback, and they could very easily be the NFC representative this year in the Super Bowl. That could easily happen, and I think their window is maybe a little more open than some of the others, because they don't really have. They've got a couple of defensive players that are going to be either traded or retired or moving on, but that'll cause them some distress defensively. But I don't think it's going to be enough that it's going to take this football team out of it totally. But I think they're a good football team, and they're right on the verge, and they could certainly jump through it at any time.
All right, Coach. And a few weeks ago, moving now to college football, we mentioned when President Donald Trump actually honored the winner of the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy, the Army football team. He was talking about this, Coach, and he was kind of saying that he would potentially look into changing the rules to where if a athlete who played for the Army football team or the Navy football team or the Air Force football team wanted to go into the NFL draft and was good enough to play inside the NFL. Now, while that is a small margin on those teams because most of them are there for a military career, Coach, he talked about how he could possibly look into filing something for a rule change for that. Well, Coach, he has now done that as he signed a presidential memorandum ordering the Pentagon to develop a new policy to allow athletes attending the nation's military academies to play professional sports immediately after graduating. Coach, good thing, bad thing, or just something that's kind of a news story because we're at the time of summer right now where there's not a lot going on as far as football goes?
It is a great thing. It's better than good. It's great. Man, what a boost for our military academies with football, all sports, but football in particular now. Now they can, these kids, a lot of kids don't go there just simply because they can't go into pro football or pro baseball or whatever. They've got to serve that 4 years before doing so. But now that opens that door. It's great for the kids. It's great for the universities, the military academies, and it's good for professional football and baseball and whatever to be able to sign them out of there. I'm very glad to see it, and it should be. Listen, for all this talk about what's right for the kids and then what's right here, what's right there, this is just a very simple, common sense approach to what's good for the kids and what opportunities should they have. If a guy goes there and they don't know it, which many don't, in his freshman year, but he grows into a legitimate NFL player, and to tell him he can't play, he's got a 4-year, we're not going to draft you because you got a 4-year commitment, and we don't know how you're going to come out of that, is just absurd. It's well, we could go on and on and on, but I can't tell you how glad I am to see that. I think it's excellent.
And, of course, President Trump was quoted in the memorandum saying training corps should be able to defer their military service obligations due to their short window of time they have to take advantage of their athletic talents during which playing professional sports is realistically possible. So, once again, if you're just now tuning on to ESPN Pensacola 94.5 here, President Trump has signed a presidential memorandum ordering the Pentagon to develop a new policy to allow athletes attending the nation's military academy to be able to play professional sports immediately after graduating. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll have more Talk Football with Coach K coming up next right here on ESPN Pensacola. We'll be back in just a few short minutes.
For a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Geico presents yet another voicemail from your roommate.
Hi. So, about the kitchen. Turns out when there's a grease fire, you're not supposed to throw water on it. Who would have known, right? Anyways, the fire department is here and it's totally cool. Give me a call back when you get a chance.
The Geico Insurance Agency could help keep your personal property protected, like if danger is your roommate's middle name. Visit geico.com to see how easy it is to switch and save on renter's insurance.
Hulu's paying Tobin Heath, Carly Lloyd, Mallory Pugh, and other U.S. soccer stars a lot of money to do a new goal celebration called Hulu Has Live Sports. Why? It's simple. Because Hulu has live sports. You can watch the biggest games and sporting events like the Women's World Cup this summer on 60-plus top channels. No cable required. Plus, you can stream the entire Hulu library. Start your free trial of Hulu today. Live TV plan required. Restrictions apply. Learn more at hulu.com.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K, or I should say welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. And Coach, we are rolling through today's show, and Coach, something that's kind of going on more so on social media right now because a lot of fans are reacting to it, and it's happened recently. Apparently, Willie Taggart at Florida State, obviously they need help offensively. They're looking for guys on the offensive line to help block for them. Apparently Willie Taggart has went out and he's flipped a guy that was, I believe, originally committed to Chattanooga. And, Coach, while that's a small school, you've got to think that maybe there was something there that Willie Taggart saw, or at least you got to hope there was something that Willie Taggart saw there that would lead to him offering this guy a scholarship and flipping him from Chattanooga to Florida State because, Coach, that's usually not the caliber offensive lineman or usually the caliber player. No offense to this young man, but that's usually not the caliber player that Florida State usually tends to go after. So a lot of people are starting to question Willie Taggart's move here.
Yeah, while we don't know all the details, the only thing we can say is that on the surface, it doesn't look to be the strongest move by Florida State, but you never know. This may be a kid that they were kind of high on anyway. Didn't offer, and he went to Chattanooga, and then they maybe got some additional information on him, or he's been working extremely hard over the last 3 or 4 months, and they now see a fit for him. So, it could be that he could go there and be a good player. But on the surface, it doesn't look too strong.
And I will say this, and I say this as a Florida fan. I do not hide the fact that I am a Florida Gator fan, but I will say this to all the Florida fans that are making jokes about this on social media. Just remember, Kyle Trask had no offers from any college, and University of Florida sent him an offer. So just because a player doesn't have an offer, just because he's offered by a smaller school, doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't belong at a school inside the ACC or the SEC. It may just be nobody's gotten really to look at him because he's maybe at a smaller school that doesn't get a lot of exposure or doesn't get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, Ari had a career that didn't maybe justify what they felt the press would swallow. Nobody could do more to have a very cloudy high school career than Trask.
That's right.
And never started a game even in high school. So you just never know. Sometimes these kids they blossom all of a sudden. They put on weight. They add a tremendous amount of strength. They just have that spurt. And if that's the case, and you feel strongly enough about them, yeah, go do it. Don't worry about what other people say.
Absolutely, Coach. All right, let's get into this list. We've got an article on Sports Illustrated, and again, this is another great article you can go check out and get more information and details on it. But, Coach, they're talking about September stumbling blocks for 2019 college football playoff hopefuls. So they're taking a look at teams like Clemson and Alabama and Oregon and Michigan, Texas A&M, Clemson, and, of course, we've got Michigan, Wisconsin. Some of these games, we're going to go through these games here. Coach, the first one that they list here as a possible stumbling block for a contender for the playoffs this upcoming college football season. Coach, is going to be a contender versus contender, and it's going to be Notre Dame on the road in Sanford Stadium taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Again, that game coming up September 21st. Coach, this is going to be a great game between two very good football teams, but also I don't think at the end of the day whichever team loses this game is going to be automatically knocked out of the postseason, because you got to think when the season is over at the beginning of December, when the regular season comes to a close, both of these teams are still going to be in the playoff picture.
Well, you're right, and if that's the only game they lose, then they're certainly not out of the picture. But it's a huge game, and my goodness, it'll gain a lot of national attention, to say the least. So, yeah, they're going to be looking at that, and it's not only whether you win or lose, but how you play the game, whether you look good doing it. If you're clumsy and non-efficient and you just don't look good, that's going to matter too.
All right, Coach. Our next group that we're going to be taking a look at is games between playoff contenders and fringe contenders, meaning guys are teams that are right outside that playoff contending area. And, Coach, on this game, I would assume that they're calling Oregon the playoff contender and Auburn the fringe contender. So, Coach, we'll take a look at this game. It's coming up August 31st. This is going to be week one for everybody else. Obviously, the real week one is going to be August 24th when Florida and Miami will play in Orlando. That'll get the season started. But most everybody else will start on August 31st. And this is a week one matchup we have for those teams. So it's going to be Oregon versus Auburn from AT&T Stadium. Coach, this is actually a really good game here because a big win by Oregon could boost them even more as a playoff contender, and a big, impressive win by Auburn could make them a playoff contender and bring them out of that fringe contender area.
Yeah, we talked about this a little, and I feel strongly about it. I think it's a heck of a ball game, and I think it very likely could play a part. Now, you have to look at it this way. Oregon's coming in there with a quarterback that everything we hear from pro scouts and other people who evaluate these guys, say that this guy he checks all the boxes. He's 6'5", 233, can throw it through a brick wall. He's very accurate with his throws. He's got good football IQ, can move around with his legs too, can make things happen. He checks all the boxes, all right. Now, they've also got some other skilled people that they have out of California that aren't bad. I don't know to what degree they're totally efficient college players, but they aren't bad. Anytime that you can throw the football and you're playing, even if you're playing a bigger, tougher front that you can't run the ball against, you can make things happen. And you get big chunk plays, and you get the ball in the end zone. So I would say this to you. I think this game is big. If Oregon goes in and wins this football game against Auburn, they don't have a difficult road to get there.
Right.
Because they're in a conference out there that they could end up winning. Should they do that and not lose a game, they're certainly going to be somebody who's going to be right there. They're going to be one of the 4 teams if that happens. So I'm looking at that game as being a huge game, especially for Oregon. I don't think Auburn, even if Auburn wins the game, I mean, we call them maybe in the picture to some extent, but no, they're going. I mean, with Alabama and Georgia and LSU and Florida, they got a tough road to hoe.
Absolutely, Coach. That is a horrible schedule to navigate for the 2019 season for the Auburn Tigers. All right, Coach, our next game between a possible playoff contender and a fringe contender. This was a team last year that was a fringe contender in Army that actually took Oklahoma into overtime there in Norman. And it was a great game between 2 good football teams. It's a very impressive Army football team. Blew out Houston in the bowl game. I believe 70-14 was the final score of that game. Coach, they're going to be heading into Ann Arbor in the Big House to take on Michigan on September 7th. And, Coach, it's not crazy to think that Army could come out of this game with a win against Michigan in Michigan.
If anybody had told us this 2 or 3 years ago, we'd say, oh, you're crazy. I really like what this Army team has done. They've come back, and I think with the president signing that authorization today is going to help them even more. But listen, success breeds success. We've already talked about kids want to go where you're winning. Kids want to go where they can not only win and be noticed, but they want to go where they can play in the National Football League. There are going to be some kids who now will go to those teams, especially if they're winning. Army, how they did it last year and just beat the heck out of teams and played Oklahoma off their feet there. I think this Army football team is really something to watch, and it's of interest to me, great interest to me. I think if they should win this football game, yeah, I think you got to put them somewhere in the picture because they're going to play a relatively difficult schedule, and we'll see what happens.
Now, Coach, I want to go back to the bill we were talking about with President Trump before we went to the first break. And by the way, if you are just joining us, President Trump did announce that he has signed a presidential memorandum to order the Pentagon to develop a new policy to allow athletes attending the nation's military academies to be able to forego their military service and actually enter playing professional sports while they still have the ability to. So, Coach, I want to take a look at this. Do you think we start to see some more players that are maybe – because we look at National Signing Day, and you'll see the guys that have they'll have a Houston hat on stage, they'll have a TCU hat on stage, but Coach, then they'll also have a Navy hat or an Army hat on stage, and maybe they pick Houston or TCU because that gives them an opportunity of one day playing inside the NFL where the military academy wouldn't. Coach, do you think we start seeing those players start going to the military academies now that they can actually go and play professional sports after they graduate?
I don't think there's any question about it with some, not all. Listen, military academies aren't cut out for everybody.
Right.
And you got to be an outstanding student, number one. But for some who are good students, good athletes, and maybe have a chance to play professional athletics after they get out, yeah, it's going to be enticing to them. So if you go to, a degree from the military academy or from the Naval Academy, it's worth a whole career. It's just you've got it made if you handle yourself right, and tremendous opportunities as well. But there's still that allure of professional football or baseball, whatever. So yes, they're going to have some people who now will pay attention to them because of this decision that was made today.
All right, Coach, let's move now to our next game, getting back to this list on possible September trip-up games for playoff contenders. Coach, our next playoff contender, fringe contender game, This is going to be a biggie. September 7th, Clemson, Texas A&M coming into Clemson. And, Coach, this is going to be a 2:30 kickoff, and it's going to be a great game between two competitors. And you look at this game last year, Coach, came down to the wire. Texas A&M had opportunities to win this game late, could not take advantage of those. But, Coach, Kellen Mond back for the Aggies, Jimbo Fisher coming in year 2. You got to expect this team to be a little bit better than they were a year ago. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
Oh, my goodness. Which network is going to get that game, 2:30? That may be, because they're playing at home on an ACC field. So I don't know who will get that game at home game, whether CBS. That's normally the time CBS comes on. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a great, great game, and it's going to be extremely well received all over the country. I think it's going to be maybe one of the better games all year. Quite honestly, I think Texas A&M is a good football team and ascending. Clemson, we know, is a good football team. Don't know that they're, they still got some attrition they've got to account for. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be a tremendous football game, and whoever wins that game is certainly going to be on the radar screen for playoffs and whatever. Yeah.
All right, Coach, and again, if they do follow the same mold as what they do for a Florida State type game, or even Clemson in South Carolina, if it's a home game for the SEC team, usually it's CBS. If it's a home game for the ACC team, usually it's either ESPN or ABC. So just continue to check that news if you are continuing to try to figure out what network this game will come on. More than likely, it'll probably be ABC or ESPN since Clemson is the home team. All right, Coach, our next game, we've got Michigan at Wisconsin. Coach, first and foremost, my problem with this is I would probably consider Michigan a fringe contender, and I wouldn't consider Wisconsin a contender at all, because Wisconsin is a team that last year we thought they were going to contend, and they kind of let us down. It was a bad year for them, an embarrassing bowl game against Miami. They were able to win that bowl game, but it was just an embarrassing game overall for both teams there in the Pinstripe Bowl. But Coach, Michigan at Wisconsin, September 21st. Coach, this could be a big game, and this would be Michigan 2 weeks coming off of that big game against Army, 2 weeks later for the game against Wisconsin.
Yeah, this is going to carry. It is going to carry some weight, though. You never know what Wisconsin is going to be able to do. They're coached well. They have some big, strong football players there. They do have some good athletes too. So normally their primary strength has been the size and overall conditioning of their football team. But I think it's going to be a heck of a football game, and I think you're right exactly. If Michigan does take care of Army and they go in and win this football game, they're certainly going to be in contention for a playoff. Yeah. Because all they got to do, really, just think about it after that. All they got to do is beat Ohio State. I say all you got to do, that's a big chore. But they have to beat Ohio State.
All right, Coach. Speaking of Ohio State, they are actually part of our next game here, part of the contenders versus fringe contenders. And again, Coach, not really sure where they're getting this other team as a fringe contender after the season they had last year. But you've got Ohio State on the road taking on Nebraska. That's going to be September 28th. Look, Coach, Nebraska is going to be better under Scott Frost. Are they a fringe contender? I don't think so, but Ohio State is going to have their hands full in this game, because you tend to look at it, Ohio State tends to start games early in the season just like Alabama. They tend to start those earlier games a little slower, so this could be an interesting test for them on the road in Nebraska.
Yeah, I think you summed that up just right. This is Ohio State's going to be a contender, no doubt, from day one. Nebraska is going to be better. You remember the day not too many years ago when Nebraska was the biggest nationwide recruiting school in the country. They recruited from California, from New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, from the South, all over the South, Southwest, Northwest. They recruited all over the country and had players from all over the country. That kind of shut down some, but I'm sure that Frost is going to go back. He's going to talk to those people that were in charge at that point, and they're going to look at putting some way that recruiting structure back together. Now, easier said than done. You can't just put tentacles out there and expect to grab players, because it takes an awful lot. Listen, with today's social media and all of the ability of Google to look at all these campuses and whatever, and the weather and so on, and you're going to tell some guy from Southern California or from Florida, from Georgia, that we're going to Nebraska, where we're going to play the second half of the season, certainly the last quarter of the season. We're going to play in minus 32-degree weather. I'm saying that, more than freezing. We'll play in the 20s and so on, with some snow and whatever. It's a little difficult, even though Nebraska will be back. I think they'll be back. They'll have a winning record, and they'll have a good football team. And I think Frost will do a tremendous job up there.
And let's not forget, Coach, that last year during this game, Nebraska actually almost pulled off the upset. They were 2-6 at the time when they played Ohio State in Columbus, and Nebraska actually almost went into the horseshoe and pulled off a massive upset that would have sent the playoff rankings at that point in the year, would have sent them just in a tailspin and caused all kinds of craziness. So Nebraska held close last year. You got to expect for them to do the same this year. All right, Coach, our next game here, we're going to move now to a new category. It's playoff contenders versus underdog teams. So these are games that the playoff contender should win, but at the same time, they may allow this smaller opponent, or not necessarily smaller opponent, but the underdog to stick around a little too long. And Coach, not quite sure about this first game, but Clemson versus Georgia Tech, August 29th. That's going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff, but still, Coach, you got to take a look at just the overall talent level from between Clemson and Georgia Tech, and then also the fact that Jeff Collins is now the new head coach for Georgia Tech. They're going to be breaking in a completely different new offense that I don't know how long they ran that triple option offense there at Georgia Tech, but they will not be running it this year under Jeff Collins. So that's going to take some growing pains and some years for them to change and get used to and get the right players in place. So, Coach, I'm not quite sure where our friends at Sports Illustrated are seeing this game, but they have Clemson and Georgia Tech as the first one under the playoff contender versus underdog category.
Well, I'm not sure what these categories, I mean why this particular one, every playoff contender is going to play, they're going to play some dogs along the way. Now, this is not a dog. Georgia Tech is a good football school, but you're right. They have a new coach. They're going from the old wishbone type offense. Most of those kids offensively were recruited, given that system, to fill out the roster based on what they were doing. So, I think it's going to be very difficult, and Clemson should eat them up in this ball game. I don't see how Georgia Tech should be expected to give them a good game, to be honest.
All right, Coach, how about we head now to our next game on this list, Oklahoma versus Houston. While Dana Holgorsen in West Virginia last year gave Oklahoma a great battle during the season, Coach, this is not West Virginia's team last year. Houston does not have Will Grier at the quarterback position, so you got to think this is a game that, despite Dana Holgorsen giving Oklahoma some problems last year, his new team in Houston, the Cougars, aren't going to be able to match up to Oklahoma this year.
Oh, no doubt about it. Oklahoma should win that game handily. Again, I don't see an awful lot of correlation there. Even though I think Houston's going to be pretty good, but they're not going to be good enough to play with the Oklahomas and Texas and those types of people.
All right, Coach, our next game is going to be Ohio State versus Cincinnati. Now, I know a lot of people are hearing that, and they're going, really, Cincinnati? But Luke Fickell did a great job with this team last year, turning things around, winning 11 games a year ago. Coach, Luke Fickell's got some ties to Ohio State. He was the interim head coach before Urban Meyer was hired there for the Buckeyes. He was the head coach, the interim head coach during the Gator Bowl that they took on Florida. And, Coach, he's a good football coach, but at the same time, the talent level, again, the theme continues. The talent level just does not match up between these two teams.
Talent level and the depth of talent on that football team they'll run 80 players out there, and the last 22 could start for Cincinnati. So it's going to be. I don't see how that Cincinnati could give them a problem, but it would be for a short time only.
All right, Coach, and our final game on the list, Oklahoma taking on Texas Tech on September 28th. Coach, this is a Texas Tech team that's bringing in a new head coach after Cliff Kingsbury was relieved of duties last year. It's going to be former Utah State head coach Matt Wells, so he's going to be coming in to take over the Red Raiders. But, Coach, again, Oklahoma, even with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, and I say that as not a knock to Jalen Hurts. It's just the quarterback production that you had with Baker Mayfield, that you had with Kyler Murray. It's not going to be quite the same level with those two guys as what you're going to see from Jalen Hurts this year. So, Coach, with that being said, with him at the quarterback position, you still got to think Oklahoma is going to be able to take care of Texas Tech.
Yes, I certainly think so. And you look at that football team, and again, the overall talent that they've put together, and they've had great recruiting years the last 3. So it's just a plug and play, fill in the blank, bring the next guy up type thing. There's a lot of depth, and they should win that game handily.
All right, Coach. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take our next time out here on the show. We'll be back with more Talk Football with Coach K coming up next right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
All right, it's time for some straight talk. You wouldn't pay $100 for seats to a baseball game where you can get the same seats for $50. So why pay more on your wireless when you can get the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost? For $45 a month, get our unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data from Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. Looking to build a deck? Think Trex is out of your price range? Well, now you should take a second look at the #1 name in outdoor living. Because the latest deck from Trex is engineered for the DIYer and priced to put the pressure on treated lumber. Plus, it comes with a 25-year fade and stain warranty. And that's something wood can't promise. Find Trex on shelves at the Home Depot and bring home the #1 name in outdoor living.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back in. If you want to be a part of the show, you can text into our studio text line at 850-972-1945. Again, that's 850-972-1945. Coach, I figured we've talked about Army a couple of different times today with some of these games, and obviously the news of what President Trump has now done with the military academies and sending the memorandum to the Pentagon about allowing them to be eligible for professional sports immediately upon graduating. Coach, I figured we'd take a look at Army's 2019 schedule and go through this here for a few minutes. And, Coach, they'll get it started August 30th. They'll welcome in the Rice Owls there to West Point. And, Coach, you got to think Rice has been a team that's struggled as of late in the past few years. And you got to think more of that's going to come for this year for the Rice Owls. So they're going to get it started off, Coach, again. A home game for Auburn against a team that they should be able to take care of.
Home game for Army?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, this is a good idea to go through this Army schedule and just take a look. They should have no problem with Rice. Very, very difficult to win at Rice University. People don't realize just of interest. I coached at Rice one year, and their student body there, a beautiful campus there. They've got a beautiful stadium that seats about 70,000 people. They only put about 20 in there now, but they used to put a lot of people in there. On campus, their campus is about as big as, their student body is about as big as a fair-sized, good-sized high school. Their number of high schools bigger. About 2,600 kids usually, 2,700 kids. They just don't have. They're like an Ivy League school in Texas, and they recruit. You have to pretty much the same stipulations that you would have recruiting to Harvard, Yale, all those schools you have at Rice. So anyway, long story there. A little extra knowledge there on the Rice Owls, but Army should take care of Rice.
All right, Coach, and then they'll go week 2 on the road, like we were talking about a moment ago, heading to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan in the Big House.
I'd love to see them dump Michigan in the Big House, but we have to be honest. It's a little difficult to think they're going to go to Michigan and win that ball game. So let's give them an L there in Michigan.
All right, Coach. Then they'll head on to take on the Texas San Antonio UTSA, the Roadrunners. That'll be an away game for them as they'll be in San Antonio for that game.
Yeah, well, San Antonio's an interesting city. University of Texas San Antonio is not to the point yet that they can beat a good football team. Now, when they scheduled Army, this was probably a good matchup. Based on what we're hearing now, what we see, and I'm going to be interested to talk with some people, and we'll get it over the air, Jordan. Once I do, I want to talk to some people who have had a chance to look at this Army football team and see what they have coming back, see how they're projected to play this year. But I don't see them losing to San Antonio. They should take care of them.
All right, Coach, and they'll head now back home on September 21st to West Point, taking on the Morgan State Bears.
The what? Morgan State?
The Morgan State Bears.
They should beat the Morgan State Bears, yeah.
All right, Coach, and they'll have a bye week on September 28th before taking on the Tulane Green Wave, and again, that game will be at West Point.
Yeah, no, this is a game, again, that would have been a nice game to have, for Tulane to have a few years ago, but better look out now. I think they take care of business at home there against Tulane.
All right, Coach, then they'll go on the road heading to Bowling Green to take on Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers. Coach, this could be a decent matchup for them. The Hilltoppers offense is going to be an interesting one, but still that offense, the option offense that Army runs, it's going to take a lot of time off the clock and be able to keep that offense off the field.
Yeah, well, the one thing, the biggest thing is people don't play against it on a regular basis. and it's hard to get ready for with really two days preparation. But they should be able to take care of them.
All right, Coach, that puts them at 5-1 as they now head to Atlanta. They're going to be playing this game, Georgia State Stadium, also formerly known as Turner Field. Coach, they're going to be taking on the Georgia State Panthers.
I think they'll beat Georgia State. Yeah, I don't know how good Georgia State's going to be, but they should beat them.
All right, Coach. Then after that game, they'll head back to West Point, welcome in a team from the West Coast in the San Jose State Spartans.
That'd be tough, but I think they're going to play them at West Point.
It is, yes.
Okay, yeah. They should. I think they'll take care of them there.
All right, Coach. That makes them 7-1 on the year. So another great year for Army so far as they now head into Falcon Stadium in Colorado Springs to take on the Air Force Falcons.
Air Force and Army and Navy, the military schools playing each other. That's huge rivalry, and they've had some great games, Jordan. I'm sure you're aware. I mean, some that went right down to the wire, they into overtime and so on. Let's say Army takes that ball game there.
All right, Coach. So that moves them to 8-1, and they now will head back home to West Point for the next 2 weeks at West Point. They'll be welcoming in November 9th. UMass, the Minutemen, will be coming in there. And, Coach, this is a team that a lot of our listeners should be very familiar with. UMass has a little bit of a tradition of playing teams from inside the SEC. They've played Florida, Mississippi State, a couple of other teams throughout the SEC. So, Coach, UMass is a tough team to play, but they're going to be in West Point for this game.
Yeah, well, Army's been playing Oklahoma and teams like that. So,
right.
And they're going to be at West Point. I think they take care of Massachusetts.
All right, Coach, and now they'll welcome in VMI Cadets. Coach, this is going to be a game, once again, home game for Army at West Point.
Again, years ago, this would have been a good battle between military. VMI is a military school, and it would have been a good game between two military schools. But VMI is not on the same plane right now with this Army football team. So I see them taking care of business there, especially at home.
All right, Coach, they'll have a bye week on November 23rd before they play their last two games. And, Coach, for a team that is going to finish off the year playing in Philadelphia in December, and they also call their home stadium, or they have their home stadium in West Point, a little trip on the road to a place called Honolulu might be nice for them on December 1st as they take on Hawaii. The Rainbow Warriors will be taking on Army.
Wow. Well, we'll be pulling for the Army football team. If they're anywhere near what they were this past year, if they just didn't lose everybody, I think they should beat Hawaii even on the road like that. Now, that'll be a challenge, but it's a good experience for them to go out there and play.
All right.
Besides, they're not the type kids. Now keep in mind, they're not the type kids to hit the streets as soon as the plane lands. They're going to take care of business the way that you should.
Absolutely. More than likely probably will stay on a military base there in Honolulu when they prepare for that game. All right, Coach, we'll wrap it up. The last game of the year, December 14th, they'll be taking on the Navy Midshipmen at Lincoln Financial Field in Philly.
Wow. That's, you know what that is every year. Yeah, that'll be a little change from Hawaii to Philadelphia there. Let's give Army the job there, the deal, the win. And now I'm going to do some checking on this Army team, what they have coming back, and what some people that are pretty good at this game of football, and see what they have to say about them, and we'll get that out. But right now we've got them losing one ball game.
We do, Coach, and this record is going to sound a little odd to most of our diehard college football fans when I say we have them at 12-1, but Army does have 13 games on their schedule for the upcoming 2019 season. So, Coach, you look at this team, 12-1, their one loss would be on the road in Ann Arbor against Michigan. Let's say that is let's say it's a 4-point loss. Coach, are we starting to hear people make noise of going, well, why can't Army be in the playoffs?
Sure. What if they go undefeated?
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah, they got the 13th game because they play away.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take our final timeout of the show. When we come back, more Talk Football with Coach K right after this on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
This summer, take the road trip to complete your baseball stadium bucket list.
And when you do, stay at La Quinta by Wyndham Hotels,
where you can now earn and redeem Wyndham Rewards points at La Quinta and thousands of other Wyndham Rewards properties worldwide.
Plus, free bright side breakfast and the free high-speed Wi-Fi so you can stay in the work zone while you're away.
Well, with perks like these, you're going, gone.
Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you triumph.
Book direct at lq.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. If you're tailgating before the game, don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT. It's Talk Football with Coach K, and that song means that is all the time we have for on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in to Talk Football with Coach K. For Coach K, I'm Jordan Glass. You guys have a great Friday, an amazing weekend, and we'll be back on Monday to recap all the news from over the weekend in the world of football right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Don't forget the Sports Drive later this afternoon. Blue Wahoo Baseball at 6:30. The Stephen A. Smith Show coming up next. You guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.